One of the things that I've noticed with T20 cricket over the years, and it's something that fascinates me because we all had a lot of theories, some of which are being proved right, some of which are being proved wrong. But one thing that's coming through is that the captain is almost worth two players. Because the more dynamic a game gets, the more important the role of the decision maker. And I just get the feeling that T20 is evolving into a captain's game.
Well, I mean, there's no surprise there. And I mean, that idiotic suggestion that came out of the Kolkata Knight Riders to have about 4 different captains. I mean, it wouldn't matter whether it's T20, 50 over or Test match cricket or playing a backyard match. Multiple leaders never ever was going to work. I mean, it's just a ridiculous idea. But it doesn't surprise me one little bit that people are coming to the conclusion that the captain of a T20 game, I mean, you think about it, the game can be won or lost in the space of a couple of overs. So why isn't the captain going to be really important? I mean, probably more important in a T20 game than certainly a 50-over game. I wouldn't say more important than a Test match.
There's something that John Buchanan said, though, that's always resonated with me, which is that as the coach, he said his idea was to make himself redundant. Now, let's take the personality out of it.
Do you think he actually really meant that, though?
Well, let's take the personality out of it and
he
think
never
of the
ever, he never ever, I'm almost leaving the personality out of it. I'm making judgments on their ability.
He said players were not allowed to come to him with a problem, but with their solution to the problem. And so, in principle, he was suggesting that each player be his own leader and that you think of your problem before you come to them. And that's sound in theory, though.
Well, hang on. That's exactly how the game was played when I played. I mean, if a guy came to me with a problem, if Terry Jenner came to me with a problem, I'd say, right, you're a leg spinner. Let's get Richie Benaud on the phone. We'll get him in, and I'll go and sit with you while you're talking to Richie Benaud because I might learn a bit about leg spin bowling. If I had a problem as a batsman, who did I go and see? I go and talk to Greg Chappell because he was batting against the same bowlers that I was batting against. I'm not going to go and talk to some coach who's played 3 games for Udna Whoop Whoop when I've got Udna Whoop Whoop. When I've got in my own team guys who are Test match batsmen and they're playing against the same bowlers that I'm playing against, but why aren't I going? They're the best coaches.
It begs a larger question. With all the academies and with all the coaches coming in, are cricketers getting more and more disinclined to think for themselves and relying more on coaches and captains to tell them what to do?
Well,
so to that extent, that theory is right in the sense that you analyze your own problems and then come to me with a problem, with the solution to a problem, and then we debate the solution. Well,
I mean, probably one of the most important things that I was told, and I think I was told this when I was about 7 or 8 by the old guy who coached me, Lynn Fuller. And Lynn said to me, son, doesn't matter how good a coach I am, when you're out in the middle, I can't help you. So the quicker you learn this game for yourself, the better off you'll be. Best advice I ever got. I mean, I got some other pretty good advice as well, but that was probably the best of it. And yes, there is a danger that players are going to be, every time they play and miss, or, where's the coach? What did I do wrong? Mate, if you can't work it out while you're out there batting in the middle, if John Snow's running up, trying to get me out, and I haven't got a fairly decent clue how he's trying to get me out, what chance have I got? And if I'm struggling a bit, this is why I've got the advice I give to all young cricketers is, know yourself. The more you know about yourself, the better off you'll be, not just as a cricketer, but as a person in life. Because I've got to know not only what makes things work for me when I'm batting, but I've also got to know what makes things go wrong. So if I start doing something and I think, that's wrong, I've got to know how to correct it. And I better know while I'm out in the middle, not find out when I get out and go back to the pavilion. Much better if I can work it out while I'm out in the middle.
Why don't we have too many wicket-keeper captains? I think Dhoni is sort of raising the flag in favor of wicket-keeper captains to some extent. But traditionally, captains have always been batsmen. I know you've had a Benaud, you've had an Imran Khan, you've had a Vaughan who might have been, who was outstanding with the Rajasthan Royals. But traditionally, why are batsmen made captains? Is it because when the game is on, the bowler's got too much to think about, or wicket keepers have got too much going? Why is it that traditionally been the case?
I think it's just habit a bit, but I mean it does have a bit of logic to it in that a bowler's got a hell of a lot to think about while he's bowling, and I think you've got to be a bit of a special type of bowler to succeed as a captain. as Benno and Imran, and not at Test level, but Jeff Lawson was a very good Sheffield Shield captain for New South Wales. Wicket keepers, I think also it's a bit of a habit. I mean, I played a lot of Sheffield Shield cricket against Western Australia when Rod Marsh was captain of WA, and he was a damn good captain, and he should have captained Australia. I mean, when Greg wasn't touring overseas, Rod Marsh should have been captain of Australia. But that all came about because poor administration. They didn't want 2 World Series players as captain and vice captain, so they put Kim Hughes in the middle, and then of course Greg stopped touring, so Kim Hughes became captain. I mean, what a lot of people forget is that if Kim Hughes was any good as a captain, Greg would never have got the job back again. But because of poor administrative decisions, not only did Australia appoint a bad captain or a poor captain, but they lost a very good batsman as well, because Kim was a damn fine batsman, but his batting went downhill. So it was a 3-pronged mistake, because you could have had a decent captain in Marsh, you didn't, you had a poor captain, and you lost one of your better batsmen because his batting ability went down.
There's people watching this program in South Africa, and they might wonder why we haven't talked about Ali Bacher.
Ali Bacher is...
As a captain, purely because he enjoyed pretty good results.
Yeah, but once again, as I say to you, I don't judge captaincy on
the results.
Yeah, I mean, any captain, when you're leading 2-0 comfortably, and in the 3rd Test match you've got Australia in deep trouble. I haven't made a run since Cocky was an egg, and I'm batting with Doug Walters, and we're just starting to get a bit of a partnership together. You know, we've gone from 2 for 12 to 2 for 100 or something like that, and we're well behind in that game as well as 2-0 behind in the series. And you've suddenly got Trevor Goddard bowling left arm around the wicket, outside my legs, with 5 guys on the onside. I don't call that good captaincy. And I think, you know, basically, you know, you should never generalise completely, but in the case of South African captaincy, it is very conservative.
Is Graham Smith in the same boat as well?
Yeah, I think he's evolved a bit more, but... Yeah, I mean, the idea with South African captaincy basically is, if you've got a couple of quickies, use them, and then you've got these seamers to hold things tight in between time until your real quickies are ready to come back again. So I think they place too high a store on containment, you know, whereas I like captains who are always trying to get the opposition out. I mean, one of the guys that I learned a lot about captaincy from was Ray Illingworth, and I should have mentioned him before when I was talking about captains. Ray Illingworth, I had the good fortune to captain against him in my first full series in '72, and the thing that I learned, the most important thing that I learned from Ray was, when you're backing off as a captain, and there will always come a time where you've got to back off, where the opposition's starting to get runs fairly easily, and you've got to do something about stopping runs. But what Ray was brilliant at was he would pull back a little bit, but he would never stop letting you know as a batsman that he was trying to get you out. And that was a really important lesson to me.